You know, when I was a Muslim, my go-to line anytime a Christian brought up scripture was this: the Bible's been changed, corrupted. What was given to Moses and every other prophet and Jesus was not what we have today. End of story. Shut the conversation down. Get out of my face, you evangelistic Christians. And to be honest, I was really stuck in that. Because if the Bible was corrupt, then I didn't have to read it. I didn't have to wrestle with Jesus. I didn't have to let him impact me. I didn't have to explain any prophecy. I didn't have to think through the cross. None of it mattered because, it was changed. Duh. And it was a shortcut to intellectual comfort, not truth. Because the Quran is not changed. The Quran is directly from God through Muhammad to us. But if I'm honest with you, that excuse towards the Bible fell apart the moment I actually looked at the book. Because what do we mean by tampered with? Do we mean mistranslated? Do we mean copied incorrectly? Or do we mean it was deliberately manipulated to deceive people? You see, a lot of people say this phrase, but they don't even know what they're accusing. So when you hear this, pause, take a deep breath, and be like, hey, Mr. Muslim friend, what do you actually mean? Okay? And that right there will force them to explain it rather than just being something that they just regurgitate from 20 years of religion, okay? So let's look at the claim itself. Islam says the Torah and the gospel were sent by God. Surah 546 literally says, we sent Jesus, son of Mary, confirming the Torah before him, and we gave him the gospel. This is Allah speaking. So here's the question. When was it changed? What verse changed? And where's the evidence? And what theological implications does this have? Because you cannot just throw a claim like corruption out there without proof. That's not skepticism, that's suspicion. And suspicion is not truth-seeking. It's actually a fear-based deflection, a stiff arm. So when I finally got bold enough to look into manuscript history, I was stunned. Because we didn't just have one version of the Bible. We had 5,800 plus Greek manuscripts of the New Testament. We have 20,000 plus in other languages. And we have early church fathers quoting scripture in letters that date back to the 2nd century. We have the Dead Sea Scrolls confirming the Old Testament that we read today is word for word what was read before Islam ever existed. So I want to dive into that part actually before we move into this, because the Dead Sea Scrolls and this early manuscript evidences is truly a deep bane in Islam that you cannot solve. And let me pause here and say this. The Dead Sea Scrolls, they wrecked me, because when they were found in 1947 in caves near Qumran, they dated back to 100 to 200 BC. That's before Christianity. That's before the church, and that's before the New Testament. And you know what they contain? The entire scroll of Isaiah, word for word, and massive portions of Genesis and Exodus, Psalms, and more, with almost complete textual reliability. And if there's any issues, it's usually a word error and nothing with any theological implication. So when scholars compare the Dead Sea Scrolls to a modern Hebrew Bible, the Masoretic text, they were nearly identical. And yeah, I want to hit on that. The minor spelling variations, that's it, okay? Not a single doctrine changed, not a single core belief altered. So this idea that the Bible was rewritten later, it's simply not supported by history. Now, maybe the Torah could be rewritten later, but then Islam really falls on itself. So if you're going to accuse the Bible of being corrupted, you better come with something more than, hey, my imam said so. Or that's something I learned 10 years ago that I really haven't given my own academic and intellectual curiosity and integrity behind. So maybe now you're thinking, okay, well, what about these versions of the Bible? There's NIV, there's ESV, there's KJV, NLT, ABC, NBA, NFL football. Let me tell you something. Those aren't different books, okay? They're different translations from the same Greek and Hebrew manuscript. It's like translating a poem from French to English. You can say the same truth in a formal tone, a modern one, explain it like I'm 5, but the meaning is the same. And if you think the Quran doesn't have versions, well, it's a double standard, because there's Warsh and there's Hafs recitation styles. Surah 98 is translated in one place as the worst of the worst of creatures, and elsewhere as the worst of created beings. And why does the Arabic word daraba in 434 get translated as strike and beat and hit, depending on the translator? It doesn't change anything. Do you see that? Like, translation doesn't mean corruption. It means languages evolve, but the truth behind the text stays rooted. So whenever I hear a Muslim saying the Bible's been corrupted, I'm like, you clearly have, one, a double standard, and two, you just really haven't looked behind what this is. So why does this myth persist? Well, it's because the Bible doesn't challenge ideas. It challenges the entire core of Islamic identity. Because if the Bible is true, the cross matters, Jesus is Lord, and then now you're accountable, not just to a list of rules, but to a relationship with a holy God who loves you so much that he came down to earth to walk with you and take your place. The idea of the Bible being corrupted has nothing to do about manuscripts. It's actually just about managing discomfort with 99% of Muslims. And it's easier to accuse Christians of this than to investigate. It's actually safer to discredit them than to surrender to it. But the thing is, truth doesn't bow to your fear and your comfort. Truth actually goes right through it like a freight train. And let me speak this with love, because I don't want this to come off in the wrong way. I do believe that Muslims have some of the best hearts in the world, right? But let me give this with love. If the Bible is false, prove it. And not just with feelings, not just with YouTube comments, not sending TikToks or 10-minute YouTube videos, with real textual history and real academic integrity. Because if it's true, then what you're running away from is God himself. And the Bible has been the same for centuries. Don't forget that Jesus fulfilled over 300 Old Testament prophecies. He died on a Roman cross, confirmed by Christian, Jewish, secular historians, everyone in between. And then he rose, and the tomb is empty. And his spirit is alive in those who call on him with their full hearts today. So don't just dismiss this Bible. I dare you to read it. Because if you say you want truth, you should read the Gospels. Start in John and then ask God, not a scholar, ask God himself if it's real. And that's where these raw testimonies of Jesus encounters come. Because truth isn't going to fear examination. Truth doesn't fear challenges. And Jesus doesn't run from your doubts, but he will meet you right in the middle of your search. That's how it started for me. The more I tried to disprove this book right in front of me, the more I got absolutely humbled over and over and over and over and over again. And the more I realized, wow, this thing, actually after reading it, is such a beautiful piece of text. And there's nothing to gain out of this. Like, me becoming Christian makes me lose everything I love in this world. Why would anybody follow this? Right? It's not like Islam where there's things to gain, where you gain stuff over and over. You gain promises of heaven, and you gain all the oral stories of the 72 virgins, or all these things, and community and people around you and loyalty, and you gain exclusive religion. No, Christianity is not like that at all. So I'm going to end it with this. If you say the Bible's been corrupted, the way I would handle this with a Muslim is, one, be patient, be a doctor. If I go to a doctor and I'm like, hey, I have this pain in my left side of my body, he's not going to just be like, oh, I know exactly what's that. He's going to ask me 45 different questions to figure out exactly what I mean, how long I've been feeling it, how intense is the pain. And you can be that surgical when Muslims give you these objections. Like, just ask, what do you mean 10 times in a row? And you'll realize, or maybe they will realize, they have no idea what they mean. And that's nominal Muslims. That's cultural Muslims. When you talk to the most devout Muslims, there's going to be another strategy that we have in our community for this called the Master Key. You can join the community down below, school.com/Christ. But I want to leave you guys with this, knowing that it's really a core issue of identity and never really the objection. Okay? I love you guys. I'll see you guys in the next video.